Let's begin first at 4:30 by bringing you up to speed this afternoon. We are following new developments in the case of a woman in a vegetative state who gave birth at Hacienda Healthcare. 12 News I-Team now confirming the state has ordered Hacienda to perform pregnancy and sexually transmitted disease tests for all their patients. This is one of several actions being taken by the state to ensure patient safety. The state also ordering Hacienda to order a qualified third-party manager to run the facility. That has to happen in the next few weeks. This is separate from the criminal investigation to determine who raped and impregnated that patient. The I-Team continues to work on this investigation, and we will have more on the developments coming up at 5 and 6.
A Valley man now charged with having ties to ISIS, Ismail Hamid, was arrested last week after throwing rocks at a sheriff's deputy in Fountain Hills and charging at him with a knife. The deputy shot Hamid, who was later booked for aggravated assault. Prosecutors now charging him with 2 counts of terrorism. According to court documents, he was in contact with ISIS. 12 News learning now a 14-year-old boy was the suspect killed yesterday afternoon by Tempe police. Investigators say police were responding to a neighborhood near 48th Street and Baseline, if you remember, checking out a car possibly linked to a burglary. Well, that's when police say that suspect jumped out of the vehicle with an airsoft gun in his hand and took off. An officer ended up chasing the 14-year-old boy when police say the child turned toward that officer, who fired and killed the boy. The investigation continues.
Tempe officer responding to that officer-involved shooting was injured after colliding with another car at the intersection of Rural Road and University. The officer was attempting to clear the intersection with lights and sirens when the crash happened. After that crash, a second car entered the intersection and hit the officer's vehicle. The officer and 2 other people were taken to the hospital.
Police are searching for several suspects after a robbery is caught on surveillance cam there. It happened at the Cricket Wireless store off Indian School Road. Police say a woman entered the store and distracted an employee at the register. 2 other suspects came in and cut cell phones from the display shelf and took off. Anyone with information is asked to call silent witness.
Suicide attack in Syria today killed 4 Americans and injured 3 more. ISIS has claimed responsibility for the bombing. This comes just as the U.S. is preparing to withdraw troops from the country. The U.S. plans to slowly withdraw troops from Syria, starting with equipment. After the attack, Vice President Mike Pence said he still stands with President Trump's belief ISIS has been defeated.